Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Week 3 recap for the Phalanx division, the best division of the Olympian Draft League. And I'm joined here by...
Wow, it's me.
Abyssarray/Wah. It goes by many names. But he is a newcomer to the Draft League, but not at all. In the sense that he subbed in for Voids and actually played his Week 3 match with his new team, but he's been in the league since the start, playing both the Hoplite and Phalanx divisions. And I said in the video that'll be coming out soon that I think he's the best Draft League player in the server. So he has a lot of good commentaries, in my opinion. So great co-host to have.
Hey, let's go. I didn't think I'd be that. I didn't think I'd be ranked that high.
Well, I also said that, doubles isn't your strong suit, but you're still quite good. And so being such a good Draft League player in general, I think gives you a good insight into the kind of the workings of draft in general. And so whether it's singles or doubles, you're still pretty good spot to go. So let's without any further ado though, let's get into the matches. And we're starting off as per usual, actually, with my matchup. I don't know why, but mine's always at the top. So I went up against TBL this week. I ran a pretty interesting team. I ditched Tauros and Raj for my Quillfish, who I actually thought had a pretty good matchup here, particularly into the Ludicolo, who's incredibly fast, and just could do quite a bit of good damage into everything, especially against this rain team with Swift Swim. It outspeeds his whole team, besides Overquill, who he didn't bring. Also, depending on his investment, I would still outspeed his Overquill. So I also thought Samurott was in a great position this week, and that I could really use the rain against him. Though I was in for a surprise when I saw Impidimp in his team preview. Impidimp was a little crazy, but felt like a pretty good matchup for me. So I had high expectations for myself coming into this. So he leads Politoed Annihilate, which is interesting because it really does set up my Quillfish really nicely. And Volbeat has Rain Dance in case he doesn't lead Politoed, but he can actually feel free to go for another move now.
Did we want to discuss the Terra captains before we proceed?
Terra
types?
I think they were pretty straightforward this week. Terra Flying Terra Blast on Porygon just makes a lot of sense because I can hit the Annihilate and the Ludicolo and the Masquerain, who I actually thought Masquerain had a pretty decent matchup into me just because it was good into like Volbeat and Samurott and Sinistra and Tauros. And so I was Flying hit his entire team and he had no resists, so I thought it was pretty good. Two water types, water Terras were pretty good. Just kind of defensively against his water types, except for it does open me up to Ludicolo, but it's worth it for Quillfish, increasing his damage. Terra Ghost on Volbeat and Samurott makes a lot of sense because of the fake out from Gothitelle and because of Gothitelle preventing them from switching with Shadow Tag, and Ghost types can get around that, which is quite nice. And then also, for Samurott specifically, Annihilate's fighting type moves he is now immune to. And I will say that I changed this Terra type literally last second. I changed it in the team preview, which is hilarious.
I see.
It was pretty funny. And then he's running Terra Ghost on Goth, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, just because it keeps his Ghost weakness and his Dark weakness. So I'm not entirely sure why he did that.
Maybe he's afraid of. Wait, do you have any fake outs of your own?
No, but I have Apom with fake out, but that's a 1-point Pokemon, and then I have Porygon with Porygon instead of going for Shadow Ball could go for Terra Blast theoretically, but I don't fully understand that. And then Terra Ghost Impidimp, I don't even know what that was for. Terra Grass on Politoed makes a lot of sense in theory. Just because the grass-type moves that would be going into it from something like Sinistra are now resisted. And Terra Water to power up Ludicolo also makes a lot of sense, generally. And then we have our 3 Pokemon that cannot Terra, being Annihilate, Mousehold, and Ursaluna. And I don't think we had a single mistaken Terra. I don't think so throughout this week, which is good because those were annoying. So, yeah, let's get into the match. And immediately he protects his Politoed. And I trick the Flame Orb onto Annihilate and go for Thunder Wave into Protect, though he does U-turn out his Annihilate, meaning Ludicolo comes in. Though one note is that Quillfish is in fact faster than Ludicolo. So he can fake out one of these two, but not both. Oh yeah, also the Terra Ghosts were also for Ludicolo's fake out as well, because he has 2 fake out users. So he goes for fake out into me, and I'm not Cover Cloak, which he knows, but I can just kill Ludicolo, and that's fine by me.
Yeah.
And he goes for Weather Ball, and it doesn't even kill, right? So I'm in a pretty good spot here. I also just wanted to see what Politoed's item was here. Volbeat could have gone for a more productive move, but I felt it was better to just figure out what Politoed's item was, information for game 2, right, or game 3.
Yeah.
And I actually steal his Citrus Berry and eat it immediately, which is really funny. But I've learned both of his items. I revealed my item on Volbeat, right? But Annihilate, if it stays in here, is going to be burned, and so he's probably going to switch out with a U-turn. And I know he's Safety Goggles, which denies the Rage Powder Sinistra could be running, but actually I decided to leave behind this week because I felt it wasn't very good here. And I'm glad that he over-prepped into it. And then Politoed has the Citrus Berry, so it's good information for me. And the Life Orb on Ludicolo.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I was going to mention the Life Orb.
Yeah. So I know 3 of his
items.
Yeah, exactly. And I have revealed one of my items. So pretty good spot there. And I Aqua Tail, which is over half into Annihilate, as he does in fact U-turn out into Mousehold. And he goes for Weather Ball into Quillfish here. So just 44% into a resisted attack, which is more than you might expect. But it means that Volbeat's alive still. So I think that was a mistake. I think probably just killing was good.
I think he probably didn't expect you to trick his Citrus Berry.
That's
that
true.
would have killed. Because you're living on 25? Yeah.
No, actually, he didn't attack into it, so it wouldn't have. He didn't attack into Volbeat, so it wouldn't have
No,
killed.
I meant the. He thought the U-turn would just kill you. Probably.
Oh, you're probably right, actually. Oh, it would have killed exactly. So he probably saw that, and he assumed, yeah, I'm okay. Also,
no one expects this trick to steal your.
It's pretty funny. So yeah, I go for trick, steal the berry, and yeah, he switches out into Mousehold, but I rip the taunt into it, which is great because this is a very supportive Pokemon that could go for Population Bomb for big damage. And my goal is to try and, like, if I can get ghost types in front of it, or like kind of shut down its damage with like the Flame Orb theoretically or something like that. If I can reduce the damage and more importantly neutralize the support on this thing, then you really can't do a whole lot. So I taunt it, and Gunk Shot into Politoed does under half, but he can't use Switcheroo, which is great because he was trying to give me some sort of item, presumably a negative item, and I don't actually get it. And he Weather Balls and picks up the kill into Volbeat finally. Maybe a little turn late, hard to say. But Samurott has 1 turn left of Rain, and he's in a great spot here because it's an extremely strong Pokemon, right? So he switches out into Annihilate, and I go for the play of Aqua Tail Aqua Jet into this slot with the thought process of Mousehold can go for Population Bomb, right, and outspeed Samurott, or it can probably kill Quillfish. Hard to say, but probably can, or do a big chunk into Samurott. But if I go for Aqua Jet Aqua Tail, if he switches or stays in, he will die before he can move, and he will do no damage this turn because he can't protect, right? Because he's taunted. So this slot is dying no matter what, and I'm not super scared of whatever move Politoed is clicking into my 2 water types. So I'm comfortable going with this play, and it means Annihilate does in fact go down. Also, the reason I'm running Aqua Tail here is because you can see I have Gunk Shot and Thunder Wave, and because I'm running those 2 inaccurate moves, I decided to run the Wide Lens. So I'm running Aqua Tail over Liquidation.
Good choice.
Plus, there's a 20% chance that for a defense drop with Liquidation and Annihilate past Defiant. So I'm trying to avoid that. But Weather Ball puts me down extremely low, and Rain stops, but he has 2 Pokemon left versus my 3, so I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot here. And he goes for Follow Me, and I go for Aqua Jet, hoping that, because I know that I underspeed his Mousehold. So I just go for Chip, and then with a combination of Aqua Jet and Razor Shell, Mousehold will go down, even if he Sash. And then it's now a 2v1, pretty unwinnable battle for him. I go for Razor Shell, and he goes for Pear Song, but I'm really trying not to reveal any information here. I actually get the burn on Machagacha, which is hilarious, because it means that even if he hits the Triple Protect, he will die before I die of Pear Song. And so at this point, it's just he hits the Protect, and then he fails the 1 and 3, and I pick up the kill. So very clean game, in my opinion. It could have been like maybe slightly cleaner with some of the turns, but it worked out very comfortably in my favor, and I learned a lot of information despite 2 Pokemon dying. So I revealed a lot of stuff on my Quillfish, but Quillfish won me a game, so I don't really need to bring him again. And there's a threat of me bringing him again, and he put in a lot of work here, so he might be...
Yeah, maybe it might deter him from running Rain at all.
Yeah, exactly. But TBL, I mean, is he really ever going to ditch Rain on this team? We'll see. He brought it into Araquanid last week, so... he doesn't switch up his lead too much. He doesn't lead Rain, which is good if I were to be bringing Quillfish again. But it's hard to say like kind of how much or what he's going to go for here, I guess. So I have a few options. One thing I note is I traced Defiant, not Friend Guard. If I had traced Friend Guard, I would go for Trick Room on, and that's why I'm running Trace, to hopefully trace Friend Guard. But I would go for Trick Room on Sinistra here, but instead I go for Trick Room on Porygon, as he protects Mousehold and goes for Final Gambit. So this is a play, and I go for Machagacha to protect, but this is a play that I really disagree with, just kind of fundamentally, because I think it's almost never worth it to sacrifice your S tier, your 20-point Pokemon, presumably your best Pokemon, for like a random A tier. Like, I have a 20-point Pokemon and then 2 15-point Pokemon. So, like, it's a top 3 Pokemon on my team, but Annihilate is clearly the strongest, biggest threat on your team, and you're sacrificing him for pretty much nothing. I mean, you prevent Trick Room this term, but, like, still, I don't think it's ever worth it.
I think the only way you can justify it is if that one Mon is completely threatening to your back. That's the only way I could justify it.
Yeah, but... I mean, Porygon's good here, but he's not like...
You just don't have enough information yet to make that
Yeah, on
decision,
turn 1, I feel like, yeah. I think there's a difference between, like, a Metagross Explosion, even, and, like, a Final Gambit. But, yeah. I think that was a poor play. And Gothitelle comes out, but Samurott comes out, which is just a great matchup for me, obviously.
He's forced now.
Huh?
Force to Terra or Switch.
Yeah, but he's Terra Ghost, remember. So my knockoff will hit him super effectively, unless he switches. And actually, he does switch, but on the other slot, he switches out the Mousehold here. And I go for Terra Ghost, and I forget about Fake Out. I go for Terra Ghost here because I'm expecting a Pop Bomb into Samurott. And I forget about Fake Out. But it means that I'm unaffected and go for Knockoff and get a big OHKO on Gothitelle, learn his item, just in case I lose, and I get a Trick Room. So the game is pretty much over at this point. I go for Calm Mind just because in case something happens, I don't know.
Mousehold's too.
And yeah, Mousehold just goes down very easily, and in this situation, I can Shadow Ball and X Scissor for the kill, as he goes for Parasong. Just it's pretty much over. So, yeah, I felt like a very comfortable win. Yeah, I think I was able to use his team, especially the Rain, against him. I wouldn't argue this is my best performance of all time, but I felt like I played very well and solidly throughout. And I think that's kind of been a theme throughout this season so far. I feel like I've done my team justice, but I haven't like excelled in my gameplay. So, yeah, hopefully I'll take any win I can get. Right, I don't need to win triumphantly or win by win 4-0 necessarily. I'll take.
I mean, this was a very clean 2-0 victory to me.
This one was 3-0, but yeah. Oh, you mean 2-0 like the
wins.
set? Yeah. And so I'll take it 100% of the time. I had Ursulina in the back, but actually, you'll see Ursulina was never saw the field here. So even though he was technically brought, and that counts towards statistics, right? He didn't do anything. So it's kind of good to me, like knowing that I can win without Ursulina. That's a nice reassurance. So that's enough about my matchup. Let's move on to Charcoal versus Soup. And I thought this was a pretty interesting matchup here. We can see, I think a lot of these Terras make sense, in my opinion. Of the two Terra Ghosts, mainly to deal with the E-Speed from Dragonite, which is a real threat. Then Terra Water, because Bronzong is weak to fire, though he could be running Heat Proof, in which case he now 4 times resists fire by running Terra Water. And Skeleturge, the grass just means any water type attacks are resisted. I forget who that was kind of from, but he wasn't brought, whoever it was. I think it was Empoleon. And then on the opposite end,
Empoleon on Soup's team,
Yeah. The opposite end, I assume Terra Ghost is for Fake Out. Terra Ghost is probably to power up Shadow Ball and Mismagius. Terra Ground leaves you still vulnerable to Ice, which is interesting. But maybe it's like Terra Ground, Terra Blast into a Heat-Proof Bronzong or a Skeleturge, potentially. Or the Terra Ground Earth Power, actually, would make more sense. But and then Terra Electric, I'm not exactly sure what that's for. Maybe to power up like a Thunderbolt or a Electro Web. But yeah, I think this is a pretty interesting matchup because we have a Prankster Pokemon versus one of the best Prankster Pokemon, if not the best Prankster Pokemon in draft versus Frigoraph, who denies priority moves. But you also have extreme speed on Charcoal side with Electrode and a Trick Room mode against a team that is actually pretty slow overall if they want to be. So it's kind of a lot of things at play here, which I think makes it a pretty interesting matchup. So yeah, let's get into it. And we see an immediate Grimmsnarl Quaquaval lead versus the Blaziken and Mismagius. We already revealed that it's Frisk Grimmsnarl, which is weird because Prankster, right, is significantly better. But into a Frigoraph, actually, Frisk makes a lot of sense. And so this is something Charcoal told me about early, and he was like, I like this idea. And it's pretty great because you learn that it's Sash Blaziken, right, which is not typical, but it's good to know that it's Sash. And Expert Belt on Mismagius is also quite unusual. Yeah. Thunderbolt here is going to do quite a bit into Quaquaval if he rips it. So it's an immediate switch out actually into an electric type and a Detect on Blaziken. Just kind of scouting here. And Throat Chop does quite a bit, but it gets the static. So Throat Chop would have been super effective here. Maybe wouldn't have killed Mismagius, but would have done a lot. Mismagius is actually pretty frail on the physical defensive side. So hard to say. But the paralysis means that Grimmsnarl is always moving last pretty much. And Blaziken gets a free speed boost as a result of this Protect. So a Follow Me and Electabuzz makes a lot of sense, as Quaquaval actually does not even go down to Sash if he is running it. Electabuzz hangs on barely too, and a full para means that an attack into Electabuzz for the kill is unsuccessful, or whatever else he might have been going for. And it is also Life Orb Grimmsnarl, by the way, something to note, meaning it is... And the fact that it's not Prankster means it's probably running almost exclusively attacking moves, which is unusual for Grimmsnarl. It normally runs like maybe Spirit Break, maybe like Throat Chop, but like kind of one of the two. Maybe Sucker Punch. Like it doesn't run multiple attacking moves very often. Besides, unless you're counting Fake Out, I guess. So we see an immediate switch out again, and now Soup has revealed his whole team and revealed that he left behind Frigg and Hydrapple. Typically, I don't like when people do this, where they reveal their whole team, but it kind of makes sense if you're expecting an Aqua Step, right? And so, but actually it is a Protect on Quaquaval's end, and a Feint.
What a Feint
kills, and I love to see that. Feint is one of my favorite moves in Pokemon.
That was an amazing read.
I've used it in a few draft leagues, but not much. and never an ODL, but that it works super well here, and picks up the kill on Quavel. And Spirit Break puts Blaziken down to Sash, but Blaziken hangs on, and he's now at +3 speed, actually. So this thing is outspeeding whoever, and definitely Ursaluna. So Ursaluna probably wants to protect here, you might assume, or switch, and he does that, actually. A Detect on Blaziken trying to scout. A Double Protect, actually, really trying to scout, and it is a parting shot. Okay. It did bait the switch, which is kind of nice, but otherwise did not accomplish too much. And it kind of showed that you were trying to position yourself so you would have Skeledirge and a burned Ursaluna on the field, which would have worked out quite nicely, but does not, in fact. And a Close Combat picks up the kill, which is crazy. By the way, this Blaziken is doing hella damage with no boosts. Like, this is a neutral Blaziken hitting neutral attacks into Quavel and Grimmsnarl and doing like 80+, just straight up, which is really impressive.
Neither are particularly bulky, just based on that.
Yeah, that would probably be my read into it, because I don't think Blaziken's like crazy strong, but he's doing a lot of damage here, which is quite impressive. And
it was a fire move, like it's speed boost.
Yeah, a scale shot miss into Skeletor is really brutal, as Torch Song picks up the kill, finally kills that stupid Blaziken, who was on the field way too long. And Electabuzz comes out, and he's barely holding on too. As Charcoal is down to his last, though, which is something noteworthy. Electabuzz really not doing too much here, though. He goes for Helping Hand into Dragonite, who misses another scale shot. And this is a 90% accurate move. And he's missed it twice, which is just killer.
It's a 1% chance of happening.
Yeah. That's really, really fortunate for Charcoal, as he's able to pick up the kill and get yet another special attack boost into Electabuzz. And Ice Punch almost kills Dragonite. This is, again, not Sash. Just something to note. Not Sash, but just happens to live at 1%. And this is a consistent theme of, like, Electabuzz living at 2%, Dragonite living at 1%. Blaziken had Sash, but he still lived at 1%. So Charcoal is not quite able to pick up the kill. And we saw that Grimmsnarl took 80-something. Maybe he would have been Oko, but I guess he probably would have barely hung on if he were at full earlier. And Quavel lived at 14. So just like all of these attacks, not quite killing. So just something interesting to note. As we have a burned Ursaluna and full HP Skeledirge, ×2 special attack, by the way, versus a 1% Dragonite and 100% Mismagius. So it's looking pretty in Charcoal's favor, but he does get outsped on both fronts, so we'll see what happens here. And a Terra Ghost Mismagius, but a Terra Grass on Skeledirge. So Shadow Ball does not even do half, and Scale Shot won't pick up the kill here. Unless it does not, yeah. 5. Ooh. Without a crit, it did not pick up the kill. So
yeah,
that was
the crit.
If that item were anything other than Expert Belt, if that was like Spooky Plate, or something that boosted the damage without it being super effective, then it would have picked up the kill here. But Skeledirge barely hangs on and is able to rip a Shadow Ball, get a nice Oko, and Ursaluna just doesn't reveal another move and picks up the kill. So very kind of clean ending, thanks to really good RNG. This would have been a much, much closer game without that. But
I think it's pretty rare that Ursaluna is at the end of the battle with max health.
Yeah, because if he survives one turn while burned, he loses. Yeah, that is a funny thing to note. I don't know how often I've seen that. It's like when Pilza won last week with 2 Pokemon saying perish next turn on the thing. That's pretty cool. Like, it just adds to the aura. So let's move on to game 2, where we'll see how Soup switches up his lead. Charcoal going for a slightly different lead because he's leading Bronzong this time, and a very different lead. 2 completely different Pokemon on Soup's side. On Frigoraph, yeah, it's been running a more special attacking sets, so it's quite good to figure that out right away. And Loaded Dice Dragonite makes sense because he hit 5 times on Scale Shot, which would have been just good luck if he weren't running it. But now he's hitting 4 or 5 guaranteed.
This makes me think it's gonna go for Trick Room, like right off the. It's probably gonna rip Trick Room really fast here.
Zong?
Or the Frigoraph, right? Oh, okay. I imagine Trick Room's on its set for sure. If it's threatening throat spray.
Yeah, potentially. I think this is a pretty heavy Trick Room team on Charcoal's end, so... and he has been running a pretty special attacking Frigg in previous weeks, so I think his goal is just to have Frigg as a Pokemon to deny priority and to be an attacker, not really to be as much of a support mon. Like, his only real support is the ability, from what I've seen in past. Though Frigg is versatile in that sense. We'll see kind of what happens here. Throat Chop does a lot, doesn't quite kill. But it does deny the Hyper Voice on Frigg, which he was going for. And Trick Room does come up on Bronzong. So, great turn.
He just got a lot of free damage for nothing.
Yeah, he did almost 80%. Dragonite wastes to protect, right? Learned both of their items, which he didn't know either of them before. I mean, just the turn could not have gone much better for Charcoal. And then an immediate switch into Hydrapple. As a Flash Cannon comes out, doesn't quite kill, and Dragonite is able to hang on from a Spirit Break as well. And Dragon Tear boosts Hydrapple's crit rate, but I'm kind of curious to see what it can do. Maybe like a Leaf Storm and a Grimmsnarl.
It's gotta be Scope Lens.
Yeah,
right?
I would imagine. Switch into Frigg as Leaf Storm does come out and does kill. If it's Scope Lens, it would always crit here, so crit doesn't matter. But if that's theoretically not running it, then it's a 50-50. And so picks up the kill there as Frigg dies, and Dragonite probably would have died to the Flash Cannon. But a little annoying for Soup. As Dragonite comes back out and Skeletorge comes back out. And Skeletorge reveals Room Service, meaning it underspeeds Hydrapple.
Oh.
And there's a Terragon. It does. I forgot. Yeah, he didn't run min speed Skeletorge, which is I think a huge mistake here because look, Earth Power picks up a big Oko. It did crit, but it was going to crit actually always, so that didn't mean anything. The Terra Ground Earth Power just picks up a big Oko into Skeletorge. Should have Terra'd, and should have more importantly, ran min speed, especially with Room Service, like you would expect min speed on this thing. But really kind of could turn the tides of this battle. As Flash Cannon comes out, and Dragonite's actually able to hang on and go for Scale Shot, which is not going to do a whole lot. But you have 2 turns left of Trick Room left, so if you can protect here on both, then you are in a good spot to solve this last turn out. A Protect on Ursaluna is interesting. Oh, because of Leaf Storm. Okay, makes a lot of sense, actually. Flash Cannon comes out as there's no Protect on Dragonite, and I think that's a big mistake because it could potentially do a lot, at least in E-Speed and Ursaluna. Might just
want his last mon on the field. Probably what it is.
I think it
seems like it does a whole lot here.
I think it makes
free damage
more sense. Yeah, because you get, if Ursaluna protects here, then you get off big damage. If it doesn't, you can always still attack in a Bronzong. I think it's a little bit of a mistake there. As Miss May just comes out, and a Helping Hand here. The skill swap swaps away the Guts on Ursaluna. But Facade will still do the same damage. So if he's going for Headlong into Miss Magius here, that'll make a difference. If he's going for Facade into Hydrapple, probably won't. And it is a Facade, so Hydrapple goes down, and Miss Magius doesn't do any damage this turn. So
that was a cool idea, though. Still.
Yeah. Energy Ball comes out and does a decent bit, actually, but not as much as you might expect. And Miss Magius is able to barely hang on. But at this point, it's over. You should. It's always the correct play to let Ursaluna go down here, in my opinion, because Shadow Ball could kill. I think. Maybe. I think it already revealed the fact that it wouldn't kill. So, in that case, if a crit didn't kill, then it's better to protect there and just go for Flash Cannon. But it doesn't really matter. It's just differential at this point because Charcoal cleans it up. And yeah, it was a pretty good game. I think Charcoal played very well. And he had a little bit of
could have went either way. Like in the middle of this game, like it could have went either way.
And I think that's a great point because Soup lost quite pretty handily game 1 in my opinion because of bad RNG. Like it was kind of close, but Ursaluna was at full health, right? We have a ×2 Skeletorge. It could have theoretically gone or it felt like more of a one-sided game 1, whereas game 2 really could have gone either way due to a great adjustment on Soup's part, and we saw the same thing last week in his matchup versus Juvie. Juvie won 2-0 as well, but he dominated game 1 and had an extremely close game 2. So I think Soup is showing that he is a very adaptable player and a real threat. You can't just run the same thing against him and have it work. You saw Charcoal had to switch up his strategy, and that's why it was able to work. But if he ran the same thing, I think he would have been bested by Soup there. So I think despite his 1-2 record, I think he's a big threat to look out for. And I think I've mentioned this several times before, but I think he has one of the best and most flexible teams out there. So props to both players here. I think this was a good set.
I think a spell tag Shadow Ball from Miss Magius can kill Bronzong on a crit.
Oh yeah, it's expert belt, but same effect.
Well, it depends on investment, obviously.
It's expert belt, but same effect, and he's already used the Terra, but I think it's not an unreasonable play. Yeah, to go for the
82% min on a crit.
Okay, so yeah,
both attacks.
Then it's fine.
Is reasonable.
It's fine. Very nitpicky too. Like on my part. So yeah, I think that was a great set. And it was a 2-0, but very entertaining. So let's move on to Pilza versus SMB. Now, I think this matchup is really interesting. I ran a few mocks with Pilza, and it felt very one-sided in Pilza's favor, particularly because of Duosion and Araquanid. So Duosion is a great Pokemon, in my opinion. It's a 4-point Mon, but it has 125 special attack, and pretty solid bulk for a not fully evolved Pokemon. And it has Imprison. So Imprison is really good into SMB's team, which Eternum showed last week with Protect, Imprison, Expanding Force, and Trick Room on his Espeon, which completely shut down 3 of Armourouge's moves, which is really annoying for him. And could do the same to Indeedee potentially, right? Because Indeedee could easily be running all 3 of those moves as well. Actually not Expanding Force, but Protect and Trick Room. And making sure your opponent can't protect is really nice. And Araquanid just has a great matchup here if he can be set up properly. One really important thing to note is no Torkoal on SMB's side. I think this was really weird. He brought Florges over Torkoal. I don't fully agree with that. I get Araquanid's a problem. It has Water Bubble, which means it resists fire when it normally would be neutral to it. But it can still do a lot of damage and do a lot of things. I don't fully agree with that decision, and there's no threat of you bringing it, right? Where Florges here does not feel like it does a whole lot, in my opinion. But maybe he just thought Altaria was such a nightmare matchup for Torkoal, which is reasonable. So a key player on SMB side was the Gastrodon in prep. In mocks. I thought Gastrodon had a pretty good matchup here into Pilza's team. So just some mons to look out for on either side. And I don't really think there's anything unusual about any of the Terra types to note.
None of these are the S tier. They're all eligible Terra captains.
No, it's just they didn't run. They didn't run.
I see.
They're actually, you are correct in that there are no S tier Pokemon, but the Terra banned Pokemon on either side are Torkoal, who was not brought by SMB. So I think this might have been the first time a Terra eligible Pokemon was left behind. I don't know if that. I do not know if that's accurate at all. But the Indeedee is Terra banned, the Kingambit is Terra banned, and the Volk is Terra banned. And I'm glad we ran mocks because Pilza clicked Terra Dark 1 or 2 times, and that's not allowed. So yeah, let's get into the match. And immediately it's a Araquanid Duosion lead and Indeedee Armourouge. So in mocks, a big threat was Meteor Beam Armourouge with Power Herb could just OHKO Araquanid. So it makes a lot of sense to just rip the Terra Grass on Araquanid right away and click Imprison, because Armourouge is rarely going for a resisted armor cannon into Araquanid. If so, it's a misplay. So this is a very safe lead or move from Pilza. And he goes for Wide Guard here, actually, which makes sense too for the E-Force. And Trick Room is sealed, so great turn right away for Pilza, as the Follow Me is wasted. Both of the attacks are wasted, actually.
I see. The Armor Cannon was for what? It's for the armor cannon, wasn't it? The wide guard.
It was for expanding force, because Armor Rouge
Oh, I see.
outspeeds the Duosion,
Yeah.
so he can't imprison it actually. So it really covers a lot of bases besides like a hard read from SMB, which is like it would most of the time would be a bad play. So it makes a lot of sense. And then he switched into Altaria because you don't want to leave the grass type against the fire type. Again, makes a lot of sense here. And Helping Hand Armor Rouge goes for Armor Cannon, which a great play by Pilsa because Altaria doesn't even take half, despite the Helping Hand boost. And he lowers his special defense, which is important for the E-Force, which puts Armor Rouge just below half. Meaning he wants to switch out because he feels pretty susceptible in this field state. So he switches into Florges, who's extremely specially bulky, like extraordinarily specially bulky, and heals his Florges on switch in. So maybe he thought Altaria would have some speed investment and would outspeed and damage Florges first and wants to heal him back up. I think more importantly, this reveals that Ndidi is not running an attacking move and probably had nothing better to click.
That might have been. Well, it's like the speed comparison is like between Altaria and the Ndidi at that point, right?
Yeah, and Altaria min speed does underspeed Ndidi, so I'm pretty sure Pilsa is min speed. He has no reason not to be, but even if they are both min speed, Ndidi outspeed, so it works out pretty well for Pilsa because he's able to get off. Oh, Dragon Pole actually does not do anything there, but he's able to get off an E-Force, which does 29 into Florges, and Florges, again, is quite specially bulky, though he's running leftovers, which is a little annoying. Then I switch out, which is pretty wise, because Altaria doesn't do much there. Pollen Puff does over half, and then he heals Florges right back up, though his health goes right back down.
That might be an eventual Florges. That felt like it did a lot of damage.
Yeah, with the Pollen Puff. Potentially. I think Pollen Puff is also a weird move to run on Florges, just because, like, maybe he was going for Heal Pulse and Pollen Puff just to heal each other. That was probably the logic. Didn't intend for that to be a major attacking move, but, like, it only really is good into Duosion on Pills' team. I don't think there's another Pokemon
that's true.
that it's good into, like, including his bench. So, pretty interesting bring there. But a switch out into Gastrodon and a Terra Water here, so really just wanting to shut down any steel type attacks from Gambit or dark type attacks. Like he's hitting neutrally no matter what. He goes for a Pollen Puff to heal back up his Gastrodon on switch in, which is just like it's the same move as Heal Pulse into the partner. Like it just doesn't make any sense here. Like it would have put Duosion at like barely alive, maybe with a high roll that it kills, but Duosion would have been extraordinarily low here, and instead he literally does nothing, which is quite rough. And the Terra Water is actually pretty good because of the Gambit Iron Head, but E-Force puts Florges really low, and without if he had just stayed in and clicked like Heal Pulse and Pollen Puff, they would both be like on pretty good health. Florges would be like 60 or end the tournament like 70 something. Indeed, he would end the tournament at full or around full. But he was looking out for the Kowtow. I guess it makes sense. The Pollen Puff though, it just does not at all. So, Psychic Terrain also does go down here, which could matter if he's going for Sucker Punch at all, but I doubt he will with Ndidi as a threat to switch in. And then Florges goes for Terra Water, Terra Blast. Also, SMB does note that it's a misclick going for Pollen Puff there, so that's a good thing at least, that he was trying to hopefully go for Duosion. Or maybe he clicked... Yeah, I assume he wouldn't intentionally go for partner there. So
a lot of wasted turns so far.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. Though I will say Pilsa has been playing pretty well overall still, despite like a few like things that didn't work out quite as well. He's not made any bad plays, in my opinion, really. The Terra Blast, maybe this is intentional, going to boost this Gastrodon special attack to let it get a kill. We'll see, though. He goes for Yawn, though, so I don't think it is. Okay. I think he probably just forgot about that, would be my guess.
That's
Kowtow picks up the kill on Florges, and E-Force does a little bit to Gastrodon, but he heals it right back up with Citrus, so good to know that he's running that. And Yawn Gastrodon was a huge problem, or not a huge problem, but it was the biggest annoyance on SMB's team in Mox again. Like, I think that was a potential problem. But he can just switch out here, so he does in fact go for that on Arachnid. And then a horrible play, the worst play I've ever seen by SMB, healing up the opposing Pokemon, healing the Duosion back to full. I mean, you could say it's a misclick, but he already made the same mistake, so you think he'd be more careful with clicking those healing moves. So maybe the worst play in ODL history right there. And he goes for Icy Wind into 2 extremely slow Pokemon, so that doesn't really matter. And the E-Force comes out and does a lot of damage. Oh, he meant to heal Gastro, so he just misclicked twice in the same game into his partner. So I think you just gotta slow down a little and make sure you're clicking the right Pokemon. But
might have canceled and clicked over and over, and he kind of lost track.
Yeah, potentially. I've had that happen a few times to me before, so maybe. But that's really unfortunate. And Pilsa was shocked as to what just happened because he's a little bit newer, and he's like, why did he do that? He broke Pilsa, so maybe it was a psychological play too. Yawn comes out in an Arachnid, but Terra Grass, Terra Blast is good. It was meant to kill Gastrodon, but the Follow Me redirects, though E4 should pick up the kill, and it does, meaning it is a Armarouge 1v4, so this is pretty much unwinnable for Armarouge here. It goes for Armor Cannon into the switch in, which is another great play by Pilsa. And E4 picks up the kill, actually, so Duosion is on a roll. I think he had 3 kills that game, potentially.
Yeah, wow. Wait, that was a 4-0.
Yeah, Pilsa played great, in my opinion. He benefited a lot from SMB. Don't get me wrong. But he played great. So I don't want to diminish his performance by any means. And this doesn't play into, like, my perception of, like, whether this is, like, Elise unworthy or even though that's down the line. He is a very new player, so making all these good switch-ins and having good instincts is really good. Seeing that from a young player, or not a young, but like a new player is is pretty good.
Yeah.
So let's move on to game 2 now and see how things are switched up. Same exact lead from Pilsa makes a lot of sense. Just kind of saying, hey, what are you doing to stop me? And Wardier shows that he is Sap Sipper here because he doesn't go for Intimidate, or doesn't have Intimidate, doesn't have Frisk. So he shows he's Sap Sipper, which is pretty funny.
Sap Sipper is interesting. Oh, maybe Florges has a grass move to power it up. Maybe that's why Florges is here.
Just to power up his partners.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's Terra Fighting, so you see him Terra Fighting Terra Blast, not like a Terra type that would, like a water or something, where like you resist water and you're immune to, so you only have 1 weakness for electric, so that could make sense, but no.
Yeah.
And Wild Charge Warrior is something to look out for also. So we see what happens. Indeedee switches in here, and it's a Terra Grass as Wild Charge comes out, so great Terra on Pills' end. And he goes for a Terra Blast, just trying to get an Oko on Gastrodon. Not a bad play by any means. Gets a good bit of chip onto Indeedee as Imprison comes
more
out.
damage than I thought it would, honestly.
Yeah, this Arachnid's really strong. And like that is not with Water Bubble, like not like any boosts. It's just like just clicking the move, right? So very strong.
Frail Indeedee then.
Yeah, it's probably especially that'd probably be my guess, even though we have like some more physical threats here. And Imprison comes out, so really good turn for Pilsa. I mean, it could have been a better play, theoretically, but not bad by any means. And then the Helping Hand on Wardier as he goes for Side Shield Bash, just quite a bit, actually. But Leech Life means he'll get a good bit of that health back. The defense boost from Side Shield Bash, though, is actually pretty good because it means he takes a lot less damage, and Arachnid heals a lot less. And E-Force does a little bit of chip, but not a whole lot, as Arachnid should rightfully switch here. Heal Pulse puts Wardier back at good health, but Psy Shield has no effect, and there's a little bit of Duosion chip, so not bad by any means. And a great protect here, as
good
I
protect.
assume Terra Blast comes out, and it does, meaning E-Force is a lot into that word here. And yeah, he's at 32%.
Oh, that was a great
and
turn.
so now, yeah, another great turn for Pilsa, as he has, again, he has 4 Pokemon, only revealed 3, so really good situation. Arachman's the only one who's taken any damage, and I think that was a great play there. It's a pretty obvious situation of wanting to Pollen Puff your Warrior and go for Terra Blast again, so we'll see how Pilsa plays around that. Switches in the Flying type, so that's great. It does, in fact, heal his partner, and does, in fact, go for the Terra Flying, so great read there, as Warrior cannot survive another turn even with the Pollen Puff. So really good situation for Pilsa. He's just playing really well here.
What was you just sitting there? It's like, hey, look at me.
Yeah, he's not taking any damage. He's just like, you can ignore my chip as long as you want, but now that you've clicked Terra Fighting, like, you can't. Like, I'm a problem for you, and Pilsa's gonna have to address it sooner or later, really. So I think we're now in a situation where Pilsa just has every advantage. And we have the already Terra Grass, Terra Blast, Araquanid, and Oko. Outspeed and Oko, Gastrodon. So, Pollen Puff is used for damage, makes sense, because Duosion wouldn't kill. Though, actually, he wouldn't kill. Duosion wouldn't kill because there's no terrain, yeah. So, potentially a mistake, potentially not. Probably a flying move expected on the Warrior, though, so it's not unreasonable by any means. And a Psyshield Bass, maybe covering for a switch would be my guess. But a Dragon Pulse does pick up the kill, and E-Force does 24, so
I guess that combination would still kill, I think, but
yeah,
I think that combo would have killed. Yeah,
probably. But he goes into Florges. No, he goes into Florges, so it wouldn't have killed.
Well, no, but it's because the Warrior went down to the Dragon Pulse. Otherwise, the E-Force would have went into the Warrior.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry. I forgot that auto-redirected. You're right. So Gastrodon does come out here, and King Gamut switches in as a helping hand. Moonblast comes out in Altaria. So the first bad play on Pilsa's part, really.
Moonblast.
Because he wasn't necessarily anticipating that, but it makes sense because Duosion really not doing anything anymore, so you want to get him off the field. I understand the logic, but it means a death for Altaria, though Altaria is definitely the most expendable Pokemon here, so even this quote-unquote bad play is not that bad of a play, because you're now in a great field position. And so a helping hand Florges for Pollen Puff does pick up the kill on Araquanid, but Florges will die here. So with Duosion now, it is a pretty unwinnable game for Gastrodon, because Kowtow, yeah, does a lot. Even with the Citrus Berry, Duosion can get him quite low. If this is Protect Gastrodon, and it is, then maybe there's more of a chance, but still not much of one. And Icy Wind is his only attacking move, so this is really game over.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah,
it's game over.
And E-Force does come out, and he goes for Protect here. Icy Wind yet again. And
if he was Earth Power or Water Move, that would have been so good here.
Yeah, he might have, there might have been a chance for comeback, but Gastrodon does go down, and that's game. So really huge blunder in SMB's part. I mean, SMB is just begging for Fields of Punishment with this performance, really. he's on his knees just begging for yet another Fields of Punishment. But I thought that Pilsa played phenomenally. I think he deserves a lot of props for this performance, and you could tell he felt like kind of calm and collected, like especially game 1, but just like playing level-headed is great, and he was doing that in abundance. So good performance there. And yeah, let's move on to our next matchup, which this is your first matchup with this team. So you want to tell us like about what you were thinking with like, these additions specifically, and then like what about the matchup you thought would be good. So go ahead.
So when I looked at this team, I immediately looked at, I'm like, hey, Vikavolt looks really good into this team. Like nothing really resists combo of Bug and Electric. So I thought it was really good into this matchup. So that was like one of my main centerpieces. My second one was actually the Houndstone. Funny enough, not even my high cost mods. It was like I was drawn to the Vigavolt and the Houndstone. And then the only thing they're afraid of is the monkey on the other side.
Yeah. I do have like a question about the Oh, never mind. Okay, I was gonna ask about Terra Fire on Vikavolt, but I forgot about the Levitate. So it does make a lot of sense. And what were you intending Sneasel's role to be here? Or sorry, Hisui and Sneasel's role to be here?
Hello? I am getting some lag, so I might not be hearing your questions in time.
What was the intention behind Hisui and Sneasel here? Hello?
So I just wanted some fake out pressure. It also has inner focus, so I can't get fake. Even if I don't, like, it's so, yeah. I have fake out pressure, basically, is what it says. That's just the only real consideration. Besides that, I'm like, it has it can kind of threaten Premier with Poison Stab. It also outspeeds Infernape if I want to get some chip damage on it.
Okay.
Also threatens close combat onto the Baxcalibur, and I also brought it with Throat Chop. Oh, good. So okay. I can stop if I wanted to. I can Throat Chop the Primarina to stop its Hyper Voice. It's also a dark coverage for the Drift Blim and the Metagross.
Nice. Yeah, I like that bring a lot then. I think your team is quite good.
Also resist Rillaboom as well.
Yeah, it does. And Rillaboom could be annoying here potentially. So I think you have a pretty good matchup here, and I think your team is quite scary. I think like some Pokemon like Infernape could be a problem here, depending on what he goes for, just because he's really strong and super effective in some of your strong Pokemon. But I feel like you guys both have a lot of checks for each other, so curious to see how this pans out. Like I don't already know. So Whimsicott Vikavolt versus Drifloon Rillaboom, and it reveals that it is Grassy.
I do want to pause right here. So what was it, like right before this? Right before the match? I think I was talking with the turn, and I was just like looking at some stuff. It's like I was adjusting my Vikavolt speed because I'm like, how fast do I actually want to make? Because I could EV my Vigavolt to go like timid and outspeed the Drift Blim, but I think I'll lose a lot of damage, and I'm pretty squishy.
Your Vikavolt?
But then I cut back on the speed. Vigavolt.
To outspeed Drift Blim?
With my yeah.
Like min speed Drift Blim or like no investment Drift Blim?
Yeah, no investment Drift Blim with Unburden active.
Oh, got you. Interesting.
So I'm like, I could do that, but I'm like, I think that's too big of a risk because like if he could EV just enough to outspeed that if he really wanted to. So I'm like, I just wanted to pump its max bulk and max special attack.
Makes sense.
But enough to outspeed Infernape.
If you're
that's my thoughts.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. And immediately it is a fake out into Vikavolt, but Tailwind on the Whimsicott end, and Icy Wind, which lowers the speed but not of Whimsicott, which makes this fake out a better play because it's a Covert Cloak on Whimsicott revealed, unless it's theoretically Clear Amulet, but yeah, Covert Cloak Whimsicott, and Vikavolt can't move, so pretty good turn one for Oedipus, though Tailwind does get up, so it trade-offs for sure. Vikavolt at -1 though, even in Tailwind, is like
to disjoint the Tailwind.
Yeah, I think it depends on what Drifloom's going for this next turn though, because it could be a threat here, and if he chooses to just like click Icy Wind again, then he's not in a good spot. So we'll see what he goes for. Sorry, what?
Oh no, go on.
So the Encore into fake out is great, and then he just Tailwinds. Okay, makes sense. But Drifloom dies actually, so I mean, not surprising because Vikavolt has I think 145 special attack, right?
Yeah, 145
base special attack, which is ridiculous. Like that's faster than its max speed by a lot. But it's just super super strong and super effective stab, like 90 base power. I mean, this was always going to kill, no matter how bulky this Drifloon was.
Before this match, before the match started, I also swapped my discharge on this to Thunderbolt. I'm like,
and that worked, yeah.
I'm not sure how often I'm gonna have Garchomp next to Vikavolt, so I'm just gonna.
Yeah, you wouldn't really like Whimsicott taking that damage. Plus the 30% para chance is really, like, if you para your own.
You know, I'm Covert Cloak, so.
Oh, that's true.
I'm not paralyzing myself. It's not the worst.
But Whimsicott isn't bulky anyways, so he would take. And if it's like an AV Rillaboom, it's just always better to have Thunderbolt in this situation. So I think it was a good play. And Rillaboom now needs to switch as another Pokemon comes in. So you know whoever he's bringing in is one of the other three will be coming in as well. So that might impact who he switches in. And he does switch in backs here. So he is leaving. Yeah, after Rillaboom switches here, you'll know his whole team, but there's a little bit of a guessing game on who's coming in here. They both have Tailwind up, so you switch out into Houndstone. Interesting. Also, yeah, I think that was a great play on your end. Who reveals the Grassy Seed?
So, I'm using their terrain against them.
Yeah, and the combination of Fluffy plus Grassy Seed makes this thing so physically bulky, and you can see that he has 2 special attackers, maybe 3 if he's running Special Infernape, which is not a bad option by any means, but it's just less typical for a lot of reasons, especially less coverage. So, yeah, great tech there. So Primarina does switch in.
The reason why I switch is because of I want to preserve Tailwind potentially for later, in case I wanted to bring it back up.
Makes sense, because his Tailwind user's gone, but now you still have yours, so you want to keep your... Yeah, makes sense.
But another thing is, like, I could have also threatened the Excalibur, thinking back on it, with the combination of Moonblast and Bug Buzz. You'll see how much damage Bug Buzz does, because I didn't realize it. I didn't figure it'd do that much.
But it's over half, wow.
Yeah.
And your Throat Spray, which I really love. I think that's just 2 cool items. I mentioned that in... the discussion channel immediately. I didn't want to say it like during, just because I don't want to disrupt, but yeah, I think those were 2 great items there, and you're now in a really good situation. So he's kind of forced to protect the stall with that Tailwind. You protect as well. I think does make some sense, but you go for Body Press, and Vikavolt probably dies to Throat. The Hyper Voice is hard to say though, actually, I think it probably lives in this situation. I was afraid of the double up on this turn. Oh, got you.
I was afraid of the double up on this turn. Why?
But then Bax goes down and you're in a 3v2. So, and you can get up Tailwind as it goes down. I think here maybe it's a better play to just go for rip the Thunderbolt into Prim. But if he protects on there, I don't know.
You could also have made the Rillaboom switch technically on the Thunderbolt, so I'm like,
Yeah. I don't think this is a bad play, really, but it is. Once he gets the Throat Spray boost, now Vikavolt definitely going down here.
Now it's bad.
And Tailwind goes down, so I think that turn wasn't bad necessarily, but it opens you up to a bad turn 5. Meaning you have to switch and do Garchomp here and protect. So that's very reasonable play, but Garchomp dies to Glaive Rush and take a little bit of chip there.
It was a sack on this turn.
Yeah. You were stalling out that last turn of Tailwind though, so not too bad, because you said Light Screen actually, and the Glaive Rush, I think he was expecting a switch, but I think that's a big misplay because...
You might have thought I might Terra to resist the Prima, maybe?
What Terra?
Oh, no, I can't Terra on this, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
I can't Terra on Whimsicott anyway, it doesn't matter.
So
that was just a...
Must have been... It was either misclick or expecting a switch, and I don't think you should ever expect a switch on Whimsicott in this situation for a lot of reasons. First of all, Light Screen, which you go for. But second of all, Tailwind, I think, makes a lot of sense here, right? So Houndstone outspeeds both of these. And Moonblast just kills Bax here, probably, if you're, depending on your investment, but it should always kill Bax here. So
he has +1.
Speed. But
he's a DD.
Yeah.
Alright, so Whimsicott won't outspeed the Bax. Can't Moonblast it.
Yeah, but... Oh, yeah, that's true. But Tailwind would have been a good play then for Houndstone to pick up a kill into either.
I thought he might go for So that's mainly why I'm like.
No, I don't think light screens are bad.
Like my thought.
I just think Glaive Rush is like straight up bad.
Yeah, the Glaive Rush is not. I was reading that Vax would protect the turn. That's why I went for the light.
Gotcha.
Why?
And then Last Respects comes out into Prim and does under half, but you still have another Pokemon to die. So once they're dead, then Houndstone can do a lot here. And Whimsicott does just that.
I was surprised it picked up.
Yeah, that. I mean, it's +1 special attack, so but it is light screen, so those kind of balance out. So depending on the investment, maybe not surprising. Though here it's like Vax can probably kill either, but not both, and Prim will die to whoever. So
Vax has to attack here.
Has to what?
He has to attack Vigavolt here to protect the arena.
He could. I guess he can't pick up a kill on Houndstone, so guess not. But that means it is probably over. So yeah, and now in this 1v1 situation, or it's a 2v1 actually. Sorry, I didn't realize that. But the knockoff comes out into Houndstone, which doesn't do much because of the Grassy Seed gone, and it crits.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason it does any damage at all.
Yeah.
And then Last Respects picks up the kill, as Rillaboom really just cannot do any damage here. With Grassy Glide, he crits again.
Another crit.
And so that's why I thought that Woodhammer would pick up a kill here.
Yeah.
But
Woodhammer, if he did have Woodhammer and a crit, then it would have mattered.
And he crit twice in a row, and it still didn't matter. But yeah, with the Fluffy and the +1, a normal attack is 11, even though it's super effective. So very easy clean up there. And yeah, I think that was a well played game.
Very bulky Houndstone. Probably not what he expected. I also thought of bringing Sand initially, but I'm like, Sand looks so bad until like the Primarina, the Rillaboom, and the
it really just too much. Yeah, and you don't want like Sun for in front of you. You don't want like Rain for. Yeah, I think if you're gonna be running anything, Rock or Sandstorm would make the most sense, but even then, it's not that great here. So, what are you thinking about going into game 2? I'll just see the leads
game 2, I'm like, Infernape's 100% coming out as a lead. So.
And he does actually. So, when you see this, are you expecting the strategy he's gone for the past 2 matchups?
I didn't actually scout that much, and I actually forgot. I forgot to even look at the Terras, other than like Infernape. Oh, it's Terra Fire.
Yeah,
that could be really annoying.
That's Terra Normal on.
I didn't even notice the Terra Normal on Metagross, honestly.
And so you get the Intimidate, but Clear Body. So, and he goes for the Terra Normal. In fact, you go for Tailwind, but instead of like a Flame Charge into Metagross, it's a Wild Charge into Infernape. Meaning, when he goes for coaching, Metagross is he's really strong with the Terra Normal, the +1 attack, and he goes boom, and Infernape was meant to live here with Sash, but because you targeted down into that slot, it doesn't actually matter, and it does in fact go down. So the whole field is cleared, but you have Tailwind, and
I think I'm in the best possible position at this point. I'm like, oh, all right.
Houndstone, Rillaboom, and you learn the speed. You don't learn the speed order, really. Maybe you do. No, you don't. Houndstone is in a situation here where against 2 physical attackers just can't really lose, and Vikavolt can do a lot of damage as well, so feels like an unwinnable battle for him on turn 2, which is crazy. Attacking a Fake Out is really nice for you, as Last Respects is a lot, and he goes for Dragon Dance, which is, I guess, makes sense to get some damage, but yeah, this is a really unwinnable matchup. Even with the double up, Houndstone is just chilling, and Rillaboom can't survive a Bug Buzz, so a very clean 3-turn win there.
Oh, like I'm like, that has to be kind of like a bulky AV. That's probably a bulky Rillaboom if it went down to 1 Bug Buzz like that. I didn't even get my Throat Spray activation this time.
Oh, you mean like a not a bulky?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought you said a bulky. But
it's like probably just a bit of health investment, probably max attack.
Yeah.
But I was surprised the Bug Buzz picked up there.
And it is kind of nice to see you didn't have to bring one of your best Pokemon, Garchomp, in either Oh, you did. Sorry, you did bring him here, but he died instantly.
Yeah. It was there for
one turn,
to counteract the
for not even
terrain.
a full turn, but yeah, I think that was a pretty clean win, and you really showed off kind of the strength of this team, particularly Houndstone, who's not a Pokemon you want to have to think about as much, being like a bit of more of a budget option. How expensive is it actually? Do you know? I think it should be C tier. Yeah. Which is not unreasonable for it, but if you're unprepared or like the Infernape not being able to use any fire type moves because it got boomed into the Fluffy means that, plus the defense boost, which is not really possible in most matchups, so like an immediate defense boost.
Houndstone's 8 points.
8 points. Okay, yeah. I mean, maybe that's a little cheap, but I feel like it's pretty reasonable. But he looked like a great Pokemon here. I mean, looked like
Vikavolt 7 points. So those two are my MVPs for the set.
And so when you make those like mid-tier or cheap Pokemon, like when I made Quillfish Shine Game 1, I felt like I was in a great situation because the same idea as your matchup. If you can make like the cheap Pokemon shine, then like just imagine what the top Pokemon can do to you. And so it's like you have to really, your opponent has to be really aware of all of your threats, and I think that's a big advantage in draft. So very clean set though, and we've had all 2-0 wins so far as well, which is quite funny. But let's move on to Turnham versus Cybon. So Cybon technically 2-0 because he has not played his match for week 2 match for Wa because Wa subbed in, so it's not either of their faults in any way, but a Turnham coming off of an Elysium performance against S&B. So curious to see how this pans out, and I think this is like one of the top or most interesting matchups here. So we see Alchemy Espeon versus Mamo and Rodom. So I think with Cybon's team, it feels like almost exactly like a 2-2-2 team where you have like 3 duos, and if you guess wrong, you can be in a really bad spot. The duos pretty clearly being Slacking Wheezing, Discharge and Earthquake spam from Rotom and Mamo, and then Bastia Legion and Clefable with just adaptability, doing a ton of damage, and redirection for Clef to keep him alive. So a pretty scary team, even though it does have its weaknesses for sure. Quite strong if you are unprepared. And we've seen immediate Decorate actually by Alchemy into a Psychic, but Sashed Mamoswine is huge here because it means both of these Pokemon will be able to move actually. And it's an Icicle Crash, which doesn't quite kill, but Electrorub does, and a crit into Alchemy.
It means that Alchemy is like Garf, right? It's outspeeding like this.
Oh yeah, it outsped everything. Wait, that's a good note. This speed is like not accurate at all, by the way. I don't know why. Like some alternate forms do that, but are you checking the pace now or what? Because I don't know how fast this thing can be. This is again not accurate at all.
Oh no, I was just judging because like I know Alchemy is not very fast, and
I think it's 60 or 65 base speed. So it must be max speed plus Scarf. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair estimate. And so yeah, we have now Arcanine coming in, and probably can pick up one of the kills here, but we'll see. And it is Oblivious, not Thick Fat on the Mamoswine. Makes a lot of sense. You don't have to run like Clear Amulet or anything. You can run the stash that you want to. And a Protect on Mamoswine, as I thought a Decorate Rock Slide would come out, but it's not that. As Electrorub comes out again. And no, it is a Decorate, sorry. It's just -1 speed Alchemy, so he loses his benefit of the Sash. And now he's kind of forced to switch here as Protect comes out. Ice Shard is really good because it would have killed the Alchemy, but Greninja is able to eat it up. And actually, Greninja immediately dies with Discharge, so staying in here would have been better because Alchemy would go down, and then Greninja comes out and is in prime position here. Yeah. But pretty unfortunate switch in for a Turnham because now it looks like game over at -1 speed. I don't think there's anything you can do. So Ice Shard does pick up the kill. The crit probably didn't matter. Rockslide does pick up the double kill, though, before Rotom can move. So, it is over because Bastic Legion's in the back, and Aqua Jet should just pick up the kill because of the 4x weakness, and Arcanine can't Terra because it's an A+ Mon. Real quick, want to note that Amoonguss and Arcanine can't Terra, whereas I think only Bastic Legion can't Terra on Saibon's side because these two are both A tiers. So, well played by Saibon, but I think that one unfortunate switch really changed things. Maybe because if it was a Greninja alive, he could have Dark Pull. Well, Clefairy was around, so maybe he could use a poison move, but at the same time, Clef is Terra Ground, which resists poison, so it's like, I don't know. There's a lot of ways that could have gone. It's hard to say, but how it played out, Saibon felt like he won pretty handily. So yeah, let's move on to game 2 now. And we see a slightly different lead, a pretty fast lead though, and the same lead on Saibon's side actually. So, clicks the Terra Electric, meaning he will not die to a Rock Slide double up, but it's a Psychic, so it double up into the Mammo with the Rock Slide and Psychic. What a miss on Rotom, really sucks. Though, that doesn't mean the Terra is wasted. Or not fully wasted because it boosted damage, but somewhat wasted.
Damage is damage.
Yeah, and that Electro Web drop is really bad for Eternum because it means that he cannot instead of outspeeding both, he now gets outsped by both. So, kind of forced to switch out here and protect. Among Us back in... I just caught this reference. It's called back in 2020 because Among Us was popular in 2020. And Amoonguss. And a dog with a rock on him. Goat Cube. I always like Eternum's nicknames. He had a Chen Pao all last season that he named Don't Abbreviate. That's pretty funny. But a little bit of chip there, and Discharge should also do a little bit of chip. So yeah, actually under half on this Amoonguss on switch in, even though it resisted that second attack. So pretty annoying. And wow, a death immediate on Espeon. He can just go for the same play again, and they both die, meaning the last two are forced to come out here, and he can really comfortably go for the same play again of just protect and Electro Web. There's kind of nothing Eternum can do against it.
I think he has to double up into Rotom here.
Oh, but the miss on Hydro Pump really sucks. And he just goes for a Rock Slide, which is not a bad play, kind of hoping for flinches, hoping for just a little bit of damage on both, but it's a little too late, and that missed Hydro Pump really changed things because that discharge, I mean, yes and no. The discharge would have did pick up the kill, but it was just really, I think the double miss of the Rock Slide and then the Hydro Pump really could have changed things.
Yeah.
So.
Like, if the first Rock Slide connected, it's like maybe he wouldn't have to click the Hydro Pump here.
He can click it into Mammo and pick up the kill, potentially. Or then, like, Flare Blitz in the Rotom and then like, pick up a double kill or something like along this. I don't know. Could have also gone for, like, a Hydro Pump here, then, like, a Flare Blitz. I don't know. There maybe were other ways out of it, but with how it played out, felt very one-sided on, or in Saibon's favor, so... Yeah, a little bit of a disappointment on Turnham's side, especially with the 4-0 game too, and felt like it was pretty unstoppable on Saibon's end, but also just good play. So let's move on to Alberto versus Saline. So I think this is a pretty fun matchup too, just because two a little bit weird teams, and Alberto picked up Porygon, who is being featured this week, so that's always fun. So yeah, let's check it out. And it's immediately like a fast lead on Alberto's side, but Fake Out is active. And there is Terra Ghost on Porygon. So maybe Covert Cloak Terra Ghost here covers for a Fake Out on either with like a Terra Blast or a Flare Blitz could into Goldengo, meaning it might want to switch or protect. So a lot of pressure on Alberto's side. And it is a protect on Goldengo. Yeah. And a Tailwind, no Fake Out. As Terra Blast comes out, which would have done nothing if he hadn't protected, for the record.
Even if he Terra Steel, it wouldn't. I guess he was making a read
Terra Ghost would have been super effective, but he just forgot a Terra. Or Maybe he was probably expecting a read, would be my guess. And then Muddy Water does a lot to Talonflame.
If Golden Go just Terra, it went for Terra Steel.
It can't Terra, actually.
That would have been a Talon. Oh, it can't? Okay, never mind.
It's Terra Ban. Okay, yeah. Sorry, Golden Go is the one Terra Ban Mon on this side, and then Sneasler and Ninetales on the other side.
Okay. I was just looking at the Terra on the side. I'm like...
oh, yeah.
Terra types at the start.
I think
That's
it's better.
Why I'm like, oh, Terra Steel.
I think it's better to run Terra Stellar just to make it obvious, but some people don't do that, and that's whatever. Saline and Pilza, you guys gotta fix your shit. But
meanwhile, at Turnham's like, I'm gonna use Terra Stellar.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna use Terra Stellar. Pretty funny. And an accuracy drop on Porygon really sucks. That happened against me week 1, so this Muddy Water on Blastoise is really just good at getting accuracy drops on Porygons, apparently. Because Porygon 2
is attack on this turn 1, that would have been a double down, I think.
Yeah, with a Make It Rain, yeah, for sure. Depending on the item, but I think it would have for sure. A switch into Sylveon here makes some sense because the Terra Ghost Terra Blast that does in fact come out and does connect and does over half.
Ooh, that's a lot of damage.
But Muddy Water comes out and now Porygon's not looking in a pretty good spot. So he switches out right away and protects. Somewhat reasonable, though it will take up Muddy Water probably. And so, oh no, this is Terra Water. I have the Fire Tauros.
Water Tauros.
This is a Water Tauros.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Terra Blast picks up the kill on Sylveon. Quite nice for Alberto. And Bulk Up in front of the Muddy Water is a little weird because it does connect. So, and there's an accuracy drop, so it really bites Alberto for going for a little bit of a greedy play there.
Alberto ended up just he's losing a lot of health without doing much damage. I guess it took out the Sylveon, but you also cost you your Terra.
And this is a little bit of what happened. I started to keep making parallels, but I think just letting Blastoise sit on the field and click Muddy Water is really annoying, especially when he has not missed one so far. He's gone for 4, so that's 8 targets and hasn't missed one, right? He's like like 7 for 7 or 6 for 6 or whatever.
That's insane. I wish I could be that lucky.
Yeah, I know. And he's gotten 2 accuracy drops on it, so really just hitting everything. This Blastoise is locked in. And a Terra Fairy immediately on Meowscarada, probably covering for a Flare Blitz or a close combat or both. So, makes a lot of sense. Flower Trick does pick up the kill, though, despite Tailwind, meaning...
Oh, what?
It's either a slow Tauros or a Scarf from Meowscarada.
Scarf.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Even...
Wait, even then? Yeah.
No, I think...
Like a very low...
No, I think it is probably just Scarf from Meowscarada, I guess.
Even then, that's only 1.5
No.
Oh.
Because this does not have priority. Talonflame doesn't have priority. So this is probably Min Speed Tauros designed for Trick Room, is my guess. Is my guess.
That's...
And so Talonflame outspeeds because it's probably... It's guaranteed to be faster, right, if it's max speed.
Yeah, Wings is broken.
And so, yeah, that Min Speed really bites Alberto here as both his Pokemon goes down and Blastoise cannot miss a Muddy Water. And now it's a Sneasler versus the world and doesn't get luck on that. A real Sash, yeah, quite nice, but doesn't get lucky on like a sleeper full para or something. So Meowscarada does survive and pick up the kill on Sneasler, or with Blastoise's help. Blastoise actually, I think, got a lot of the 3 of the kills there, potentially.
Blastoise sat on the field the entire time, just click Muddy Water every turn.
I think he went 9 for 9 or something around that. Like, he just didn't miss a single Muddy Water all game. And got 2 accuracy drops. Like, that's ridiculous. This Blastoise needs a drug test because he might be on PEDs.
Maybe it's wide lens just to help its accuracy.
It must be. That's the only copium I have because that's crazy. So, game 2, we'll see how Alberto tries to adjust, and he does, dramatically. The same lead from Saline, but we see the fastest Pokemon on the field and the slowest Pokemon on the field right away. So, curious to see how this pans out. And reveals Colberberry expecting a Throat Chop, and it's Citrus, so it's not Wide Lens on the Blastoise. So he's just on Demon Time. And an immediate Terra Steel on Dusclops is interesting. Protect on Caesar is also interesting. That was probably what he was expecting, and he eats that thing, so he would have been fine with not tearing, but he takes less damage.
Well, no, that's... Oh, it's like...
It would do half with...
Yeah.
But it's not a bad
Maybe he's afraid of double up.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad Terra by any means. And then Icy Wind instead of Trick. I feel like the freest Trick Room in the world here. But maybe you want to put Sneasler in a position. That's probably the thought process. So interesting play. And helping hand on Sneasler while Golden protects. And he goes for Shadow Claw. So he thinks that, oh, this is Colberberry Golden Go, and I'm running the unusual Shadow Claw instead of running like Throat Chop, which makes it was a lot more common. Maybe he was thinking, oh, like Sylveon resists that or whatever. But he goes for Shadow Claw, and it's into the Protect. So good Protect there. As Muddy Water hits both again, because of course it does. And then Intimidate comes out, but reveals the Clear Amulet here. And a Sword Stance from Caesar's crazy. Finally, a Muddy Water misses, but Icy Wind does come out here and lowers both speeds, so no. Go over here.
I feel like the speed doesn't matter too much.
Sneasler, yeah, I don't think it really does. Sneasler's in a position where he can probably take one OHKO, my guess, with Helping Hand especially. So he goes for Shadow Claw.
Ooh, I think he's reading the
close combat is the play. Oh no, he doesn't have close combat. So he has Dire Claw as his last move. So he should go for Dire Claw. Maybe expecting a switch on the Golden Go, covering for that. I guess that makes sense actually. But Blastoise hangs on pretty handily eats that berry, so he lives at a lot. Breaking Swipe comes out just to do damage to both, probably is the theory. And then Muddy Water.
This is like the maximum punish for not going with the Dire Claw.
Yeah. Well, it probably wouldn't have... it might have killed, actually. Because
it could also slip the Blastoise.
Yeah. So, really unfortunate. Or, the Sleeper Full Para or Poison to get some chip or anything would have been good here.
Anything. Yeah.
But instead, Breaking Swipe comes out, does a little bit of chip to both. And then...
Scarf Salamence?
It's -1 speed, so it could just be Slow Porygon. Depending. It's going for this Breaking Swipe again, though, which feels bad, so maybe it is. And actually into two, special attackers, so it probably is Scarf. And Porygon picks up the kill, though thankfully it dodges the Muddy Water, which is really good for it. Blastoise finally missing. And this Dusclops is just being useless pretty much by clicking Icy Wind here, because Blastoise is already so slow. Maybe Dusclops wants to be faster than Blastoise. Maybe he's jealous.
Dusclops doesn't have anything better to click here.
He must not. So Protect on Porygon makes somewhat sense. Though Blastoise is able to get him quite low and lower the accuracy again as Trick Room finally comes up after you lower Blastoise's speed so much, bro. I don't know why you click Icy Wind like 3 times just to set up Trick Room. I think that's a huge mistake. Because now Porygon is getting outsped and Sucker Punched. Oh, thankfully it dodges though, which is huge. And Dusclops barely holds on and gets another accuracy drop. As Terrablast puts Meowscarada down to Sash, but Dusclops here is not in a good spot. Neither is Porygon though. And Porygon switching does make a lot of sense because Dusclops can hopefully pick up a kill on Meow. Unless he gets Sucker Punched or Protects. So, actually, Blastoise outspeeds Dusclops in Trick Room because of all of the Icy Wind.
So Icy Wind draws, so I think not paid off.
Alberto just set himself up for failure by finally going for Trick Room at after you've lowered him so much. So you got a free switch back into Porygon, but you have 2 turns left of your own Trick Room, which is really hurting you here actually, but not helping you. A switch out, but it feels like a little too late. And Ninetales can do some more damage and just lower their speed even more. Just for the hell of it, right? And Ninetales is extremely doomed here. And pretty clean win from Saline. It felt like Alberto was kind of shooting himself in the foot, though.
Okay, so I'm looking at the pace on what's it called? Alberto's team. The Tauros was 0 speed with a Brave nature, negative speed nature, and 0 IVs. That explains why it was outsped in the Tailwind.
That's hilarious.
Dusclops was also not 0 speed IVs as well.
That's
sassy nature, but not 0 IV.
That's a little surprising, especially because I made a point to call out SN whoever he was, SMB, for not running min speed on his Torkoal the last week, and said if you have a really slow Pokemon like Dusclops, you should always run min speed on it, and never assume that like your opponent, unless it's like for a specific reason to outspeed something. But
oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
Porygon is what 5 speed IV. Modest name. I don't know what the target breakpoint is. I'm like weird. 5 is weird.
It is weird.
If it was like 0 or if it's 0, it's like okay, I see what you're
doing.
Though
I did run 5 on my Tauros, I think, which was meant to outspeed Talonflame and Tailwind and failed at that, but he wasn't max speed Talonflame, so it worked out. Anyways, let's move on to our final matchup, which is Juvie versus Dormisuda, and Juvie has been looking great. Though I think Coughing is great here just because shuts off the Drizzle, shuts off Stamina, shuts off huge power, shuts off Triage, all of which are great. Yeah. Shuts off Volt Absorb for Electroweb, right? And then Swift Swim on King. So really does a lot here. I think Coughing was a great bring. Dormisuda said, yeah, I couldn't really help him too much with this, but was like, I'm bringing Coughing. I said, that's a great call. I think that was great intuition on his part. And so it's just
there's no Galarian Coughing.
Yeah, I know. if only that existed. But Archelodon Pelipper is the lead, as there's no Coughing in the league.
No Coughing.
It's which would have denied rain here, but instead it's instant and Rotom Wash.
I don't like the instant lead into this.
I don't either. I feel like instant's kind of a sitting duck in front of the Pelipper and the Archelodon with Body Press, right?
And Fake Out like Archelodon either.
Yeah. So hard switching to Comfey is interesting instead of like a Tailwind or a Weather Ball, but Fake Out just increases his Spadef, and so if you go for something like Electroweb, you're just really giving him free defense boost at this point, and you're not dealing any damage even though he can't move. So Hydro Pump comes out into the Comfey, but Archelodon is at full health still pretty much.
What is Comfey going for here? It's not going for any of the triage abilities.
Yeah, none of those would make sense though. So probably like Energy Ball into Rotom would be my guess. I have no idea though. I really have no idea. And then U-Turn comes out, just another defense boost, just giving him all the defense boost in the world. Though Body Press, so it was actually a good read. And if this is a special Dragapult here, he's in a much better situation. Though I would assume it's AV on Arch.
It's almost always AV.
Yeah, and then Terra Ghost
Scarf.
Jolteon with Scarf. I don't know if it is Scarf. Maybe it's just not max speed Dragapult. I can't remember. But maybe it is Scarf on Jolteon. Outspeeds, picks up the kill on Dragapult, which is huge there. And then Thunder comes out and just 24. Wow. So this is pretty much game over right away for Dormisuda. Yeah.
Intimidate doesn't matter here with the Body Press damage.
And then Terra Electric. Just to die. So it reveals that it's not, in fact, Sash. I think he's not max speed on Dragapult, and I think I might have played a role in cautioning him against running max speed Dragapult. I said outspeed like the fastest thing you need to, and then I also underplayed or didn't realize Jolteon was as big of a threat as he was. But you
have to be timid to keep up with Jolteon.
Yeah. So running as much speed as you need to probably meant a little bit more here than either of us realized. And then Pelipper comes back out and is in a great spot. Darkest Story, I think, is great in theory because it ignores the defense boosts, but it's not max attack instant, so it's not actually doing a ton to Arch here. And he can just pick up a kill with Body Press. Yeah. And now it is Cryogonal versus the World. And I think Freeze Dry. Yeah, picks up the Oko into Pelipper or reveal Sash. So I think that's always the play if he has it, which he should. I think he does. And so I
am looking. Freeze Dry was an option.
Yeah, I should have
picked it back up 1 differential.
Yeah, I think that was definitely the play then. And so we'll see how Dormisuda can adjust for game 2, but definitely on the back foot here. And a similar lead here. But a completely different lead on Dormisuda's part. And Terra Ghost Shadow Ball again, just completely killing the... And just no protection on Dragapult's side is just really rough. Icy Wind comes out and does quite a bit, actually, but... Body Press
I
can
would guess that he's not running. Yeah. Oh, okay.
And so Freeze Dry would have done more damage into Arch, but like I guess I get the speed draw. I don't know. I think this was just. We're now in a situation where it's a 2v4 after turn 1, and coughing can only do so much, and it's not neutralizing.
Neutralizing good?
I'm pretty sure I reminded him to switch it, but maybe he must be Levitate then, because it would have revealed itself.
I mean, you don't want. I guess you didn't. We wouldn't want it in this case, anyways, because you would get rid of your own guts.
Yeah. And so now we're just in a pretty rough situation overall, and the switch out means a fighting type move does nothing, but it is a rock set actually, which does work pretty well. And Sunny Day.
Sunny Day, ooh.
Though it is probably a little too late. It's the second time I've said a little too late, but and the protect.
Wait,
and the
why?
So this is a mistake.
Reminder: don't Terra and protect. Unless you're expecting a feint, maybe.
A mistake that Solo made a few times. Season 1, but never click. Yeah, unless you're expecting a feint, which neither of you guys can go for feint, but never go for Terra and protect on the same turn because you just reveal information and you commit your Terra when you don't need to. So pretty bad play. Weather Ball comes out actually, which would have been super effective from this. And then Pain Split heals back up the coughing, so that's something. It's just an immediate switch again just to set up that weather. Weather Ball comes out, but it's not super effective this time. And then Close Combat does pick up the kill on King Drush, so it helps the differential a little. And then Pain Split heals the Pelipper. It's pretty funny. As now, this is very much game over. Goes for Rock Slide.
Ooh,
just
I don't
hoping
like
for
the Rock Slide.
flinchies. Yeah, I think the CC makes a lot more sense, but he talked about his logic afterwards. I thought was like somewhat reasonable, but I think the CC is always the play there. And then...
Wait, did he Pain Split his teammate?
Yeah, I think so. He was trying to maybe heal him. But yeah, pretty clean win by Juvie at the end. And Juvie is now 3-0 and the only like officially or like actually 3-0 player. And he's playing like very well. He's playing very well. So I think he definitely deserves it.
That game could have actually ended differently if it was close combat. Then you have the coughing and the Pelipper 1v1.
Yeah, if he was running Sludge Bomb,
speed, I guess.
Which he was actually. So I mean, maybe things could have worked differently. Which would have been crazy, but making a comeback after that turn 1, but...
Yeah. I thought it was so over after the turn.
Yeah, I did too. But that was well done on Juvie's part.
That actually... Wait, that Kingdra did way less than I thought it would, honestly.
With this...
With the Weather Ball.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it didn't pick up.
Well, 78 into Heracross neutral is not unreasonable, I guess.
I guess it wasn't. It doesn't. It looks like it's not a damage boosting item, so that's probably what made the difference.
Yeah, probably. I think you're right. Yeah, because we don't know what item it was.
I'm just too used to seeing like, oh, Kingdra's in rain Weather Ball against a relatively squishy mod should be deleted in one shot.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit surprising. I will 100% agree. So, being one thing I note before we talk about Elysium and Field of Punishment is that this is the first time in ODL history that every single match was a 2-0 win. So, just something kind of historic because no game threes, and some of them were closer than others, but it meant that kind of the winners of this match kind of separated themselves a little bit. So, just something to note. And I will say the power rankings video that will hopefully be coming out soon. I was pretty accurate with the power rankings, so I'll give myself a little bit of a pat on the back there. But yeah, all 2-0s is kind of crazy. So now,
like, I think it's exceedingly rare for like 2-0 is not that easy to get in.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In doubles.
I mean, like we saw even this game that if you look at this situation, you would think, okay, this 100% game over, right? Right at this point, turn 2. And it was actually like a potentially winnable situation.
This is winnable here.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty funny that that happened. Good note by Charcoal to point that out. And so now, being the co-host, you can make your bid for who you think should get Field of Punishment Elysium. Let's start with Field of Punishment, though. So let's kind of go through that.
It's not TVL. He played fine.
Yeah.
Soup played pretty well from what I saw.
Yeah, I would agree. SMB, I think, is definitely a contender.
SMB's a high contention here.
Dormisuda, or not Dorm, sorry, Oedipus a little.
I thought he played okay.
I turn him maybe a little.
Turn just kind of got wrecked.
Yeah, he kind of got smoke checked. Alberto, definitely.
Alberto's the second contention. I think it's between those.
Yeah, I would agree. I think my intuition was Alberto and where is he? SMB. So, I think I would be comfortable giving it to either, but who would you say?
Part of me is like I feel like Alberto's is more a problem that was made in prep, but SMB's was a problem that happened in in play. So I'm like, I'm not sure which one deserves it more. It's like about the same.
Yeah, with the
I guess you could argue that SMB threw more by actually healing the opponent.
With this, I think for just that play, I think we have to give it to him because but the fact that it wasn't just that play, and I think 2 times he wasted a healing move on a partner on full HP, and 1 time he actually healed his opponent back to full HP. So, I think that is just so egregious, and the fact that he had really no answer for a 4-point Pokemon means that SMB should rightfully earn himself back-to-back Fields of Punishment. I don't know if anyone has earned back-to-back Fields of Punishment before. I will also note that SMB is one of a few players that has won Elysium 3 times.
That's funny.
Though he has played in Hoplite and Phalanx. But yeah, I think he also has the record by far now for most Fields of Punishment. So after back-to-back. So I'm sorry,
high roll
SMB.
gameplay, right?
I'm sorry, but you didn't give us much of a choice with that heal pulse play and the pollen puffs.
Maybe it's here for what was it? It's here for the content.
Yeah. And he did make good content for sure. So as far as Elysium goes, I don't think I really deserved it. I don't think I did anything too special. Proud of how I played, but definitely didn't deserve it there. I thought Charcoal played well, but he made a few big mistakes, including like the not running wind speed Skeleturge. I feel like it's just kind of like a little too situational, like trying to run a little bit of speed on Skeleturge. I don't think it's worth it. So I would say overall, probably not Charcoal. I think Pills is actually a great contender for Elysium this week, which is surprising.
I think Pills is my choice.
Wow. I'm going to go through the options, but I think he's a great option. I think you brought some cool tech, but probably not, because he kind of set you up for success in a lot of ways with like the explosion and stuff like that. I think Cybon, it felt more like a fault on Eternum's part, in my opinion. I don't think he made any particularly great plays.
He was a little bit unlucky with the misses.
Yeah. And so it didn't really feel like a Cybon win as much as like an Eternum loss, but so that's why I wouldn't really suggest Cybon. I thought Saline played well, but it kind of felt more like a Alberto loss than a Saline win here. And Blastoise just hit everything, so that's a lot of RNG. And then Juvie made this game closer than it needed to be. I think he played well, but it was more of like fault on Dormisuda's part. So we have a lot of situations here where it feels like more of the fault of the loser than the success of the winner, except for this matchup with Pilza. And I hate to do it again where I give this is something I normally don't do, where I give Elysium to the person that played the Fields of Punishment player.
I see.
Because it's usually that situation I was just talking about, where it's more of the fault of the loser than the success of the winner. But I think here it was really both. I think Pilza, even if SMB had played perfectly, I think Pilza would have been in a great spot.
I think that game 1 might have been a lot less volatile if that was.
If what? Oh, without the healing?
Yeah. I think it might have the Duosion probably would have went down at some point.
At some point, yeah, but maybe it wasn't a 4-0, but it would have been a very commanding lead. And I think he made a lot of great switches here, like predicting the armor cannon here was great, and he made a lot of consistent, like the helping hand armor cannon into the switch is like really nice. I think Pilza just made consistently the correct play, and so he would be my choice. What do you have to say?
I agree with that.
Yeah,
especially you said for a newer player as well. It's like these instincts aren't like not that easy to read or get into.
And like the only turn was like this turn where like he kind of wasted an attack. I feel like that was like but SMB again just proved the field's a punishment there. But this is the only turn where it felt like he kind of wasted that.
Like
but I mean, he still gets some good chip
10%.
with expanding force. Yeah, or he would have had even less probably. But
because what the 48% loss was from a pollen puff on the previous turn, so another one here brings it down to 10.
Why not 4? We did 48 before.
Yeah, the previous pollen. Oh yeah, like 5.
Yeah, so he lives at like around that. But either way, I think Pilza like made a few like okay plays. Every other play was like a good play. So he made maybe like one bad play the whole set, and it was like a little bit of a longer set for VGC, right? 22 total turns in 2 games. That's pretty long by VGC standard, or longer by VGC standards, and really did not make too many mistakes at all.
I feel like one of my games is half one of their games. So like one was like what 12 turns or something in total.
We had 10 in that one, but 13 in total, which is the same length as game 2. It's pretty funny. But yeah, I'm giving it to Pilza. So I think very well played there. Again, despite SMB's failures, I think you still played very well, and I could tell that he was very confident coming into this week and felt well prepped, and it translated very well. So very impressed by that performance. So yeah, I think this was an entertaining week, and let's look at our standings real quick. So we have Juvie and Saibon at the top, the only 3-0 teams. And then we have a group of 4 2-1 players, which is Pilza, Saline, Charcoal, and I, all pretty close together. And then we have like a big bunch of 1 and 2s with Dora Masuda at 0 and 3. So I think this is kind of a proof that it's still anyone's game, because a loss for any of us 4 here immediately puts us in contention with like half of these guys. So I really don't think it's we're still at the point in the season where we're early enough that anything can happen. And Saibon is playing Pilza and then me in the upcoming 2 weeks. So that's the number 4 and the number 3 players currently. So and he has to make up his match versus Wah. And so like having those tough matchups means that like even a 3-0 team is not guaranteed to be to be at the top when it's all said and done. Though it is nice having a cushion. Definitely. So yeah, I think this was a very one-sided week overall, but still an entertaining week nonetheless, and we had some funny matchups in there. Do you have any final thoughts before we head out?
No. Honestly, despite all the funny things happening, like all the matches have all been really exciting to watch. I
would agree. Like I would not have expected, if you just told me that every set was a 2-hour, I would be like, okay, well, it must have been a boring week, but no, I think it was pretty interesting to watch as well. And I think the most important thing for me, as like someone who just like loves like draft and loves like trying to help people out, like I think ODL is really special in the sense that everyone has like a very kind of friendly mentality. I'm openly giving advice to people like Alberto. I openly gave him advice to pick up 2 Trick Room Pokemon that I thought would be really good to help his team counter Trick Room the week before I played him with a Trick Room team. So I'm not going to do the same with S&B again, but like, even though he might need it. But I think it kind of shows that we're a very friendly league. And my biggest thing about this week, biggest takeaway, was seeing the improvements, right? Soup showed that he can really, he showed yet again that he can really adjust after a bad game one. I think that was important. Dora Masuda showed, even though, again, both these players lost, but he showed that he can claw his way back from a almost like unwinnable situation. Pilza showed that he can play solidly and level-headedly when he was making a lot of like huge mistakes and just felt like he just was not playing level-headed week one, and so he's really turned it around. I think like just seeing this huge progress from so many players is amazing. Like we're only on week 3 and we're already seeing this progress, so really looking forward to how this people will look at the end of the season. I think it's only up from here for everyone.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for those of you that are tuning in on Twitch, and thank you for those watching the VOD. And any last words, Wall?
No. Nope.
All right.
It's pretty fun to be part of both leagues, because like I feel like I'm less invested when I'm not, and when I don't have to play actively week to week.
I would agree. Like I keep up with Hoplite a little, but not much, and so like running Phalanx I think means that, and like playing in it means I'm really invested in every matchup, even if like it doesn't affect my my standings at all. So yeah, very very fun league. Hopefully we can have some closer matchups for you in upcoming weeks, and thank you guys for joining us. S&B, get good. Peace.